Joining us now, it's been a couple of weeks with the holiday. Our Monday NHL insider from the Bob McCown podcast, Mr. John Shannon, back here with Sekeres and Price. How you doing, John?
Afternoon, boys.
A lot has happened since we last talked to you, including Jim Rutherford on your program. Admitting that the defense is going to take some time here. John, that was one of several takeaways from his appearance with you and Bob McCown.
Yeah, and I think when a manager or a president of hockey ops comes in, they need to take time to look at everything they have, see who they've got signed, see who's been signed before they got there. You take a look at the Pullman deal, you take a look at Tyler Myers. I think there's some obvious things that Patrick and Jim want to fix. But I also feel that he thinks that things are going okay. Mm-hmm. So, but the defense is face it, the defense is where they want to do it.
How much of the inactivity do you think is by their choice and just by the fact that the league seems locked right now with not a lot happening?
Well, I think every team, there's 12 teams over the cap right now, Matt. 12, where they can play in that 10% world. And I think that there's a lot of that going on right now, trying to get through arbitration. Not many cases get to arbitration, but through negotiations and then get through the second buyout window. It'll be fascinating to see what the second buyout window does, because there will be teams who will take advantage of that will open up cap space, that will open up opportunities to move players to, in theory, improve each other. So that, to me, is a big part of what's going to happen.
Are you buying the conspiracy theory that Lou Lamoriello has a Nazem Kadri signed contract in his top drawer?
No, not yet. But I don't. That's Lou doesn't. I know that people think that Lou knows every shortcut in the world. Lou doesn't operate that way. Would he be interested in him? Absolutely. So from that perspective, I think that that's something they have to look at. But they can't be guaranteed to fix their cap issues, Blake. They can't. So they have to find so they can't have anything that drastic like a contract in place because they're not guaranteed to be able to get under the number that they need to get under.
And to put it into a Canuck spin, honestly, wouldn't a JT Miller trade work better for Lou, because then he could move some salary out?
Yes, I think that's fair. No.
Has to like the player, but
well, but more importantly, let's remember the last time Lou had to move players out for cap space. That was Devon Taves and Nick Leddy, and they got older and slower by getting rid of two good young defensemen.
Yeah.
So Lou's got to watch himself too. He really does.
Taves, in particular, a regrettable trade for Lou and the Islanders. Since last we spoke with you, Jonathan Huberdeau has gotten paid. Boy, did he get paid from the Calgary Flames. Your 2 cents on that contract extension, and also, do you think Calgary can maintain their level or come close to?
I think they can come close to. I wonder if Brad's done. I think, Treliving does have some cap space available still. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, I think that he can go and try to find another centerman. But they're better on the blue line now with Mackenzie Weegar there. And Huberdeau replaces one of those two guys. So they have to find a way to replace probably Matthew Tkachuk more than Johnny Gaudreau right now.
Nearly $2.8 million in salary cap space for the Calgary Flames here left, even after the Jonathan Huberdeau extension kicks in.
But let's remember that Huberdeau extension doesn't start until
that's true
after next season.
How much of a tax did they pay with that number, do you think? Do you think Brad had to go over the top there on Huberdeau, pay above market value to keep him there? And hey, it's a negotiation. Huberdeau would see whether he actually doesn't want to play in Calgary or was just playing the market. Huberdeau's representation, I'm sure, did the job in making sure that it was a high number.
Alan Walsh is a smart man.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing I would tell you is that it was no secret that 10.5 was a comparable number that Gaudreau was offered and Tkachuk was offered.
Right.
And, last I checked, Huberdeau had more points than both of them. Or close.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, how do you not pay for that guarantee. And he got 8 years. Huberdeau got 8 years. In this market, in this day and age, that might be as close to fair market value for somebody of Huberdeau's value of talent going right now. The guy I feel bad for is Alexander Barkov.
He loses his winger.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Barkov signed he's at a $10 million freight now. Forget that. I thought he was on one of those great contracts, but it's not him. Moving right along, how much do you think the country knows of Connor Bedard? And how much do you think this can be a coming out party, given that it's a World Juniors in August with the specter of the Hockey Canada scandal looming over it?
Well, my personal opinion is we can't penalize these 18-year-olds for previous 18-year-olds. We can't. Connor Bedard is no more complicit in what happened in 2003, the allegations there, and 2018. So I'd like to try to separate them. It's going to be difficult. It's certainly difficult outside the hockey community to separate them, and I understand and respect that. The interesting thing is I think Bedard, because of the scandal, we have taken our eye off the talent pool for a while. But if you remember last year at the World Junior, we were, Blake, remember, tell me if I'm wrong, but you were there, I think.
No, not yet. No, not for this one. This was going to be the first one I missed, yeah.
Oh, no, but you were there in December, right?
No, I wasn't, no.
Oh, okay. I would tell you that I think Bedard was getting tons of press. I think we knew about Bedard a lot at that point. So I don't see that as a major issue. And this is just a classic case of, we're going to be talking about Connor Bedard for, another 9 months. There are going to be updates coming out of Regina, out of the Western Hockey League every week about what Connor Bedard did and whether Montreal's going to be at the bottom of the pack again to get him.
Let me ask you this. I keep reading a ton about, the biggest prospect to come out of the West in X number of years or ever or what have you. It seems like the West is losing its reputation a little bit in the modern game. Do you think the Western Hockey League needs to adapt a little bit in producing the prospect that the NHL wants these days?
Wow, that's a good question. And look at the lack of success of the Western League at the Memorial Cup as well. Team play has not been very good for Western League teams when it comes to the junior championship. So from that perspective, I was trying to think the last time a high round pick came out of Western Canada. The other thing is, remember that this is a league that drafts a year earlier than the Quebec League and the Ontario League. There is a bantam draft in the West. So you're trying to evaluate 15-year-olds as opposed to 16-year-olds. And that's really hard. That's even more difficult. So from that perspective, I don't think the Western League at times is doing itself any favors.
It was Kevin Korchinski, the highest Western leaguer this year at 17th overall, was the goaltender. Yeah. Casa, the highest ranked or highest drafted Western Hockey Leaguer the year previous, 15th overall. And I believe it was 16th overall in Caden Gooley the previous year for the highest drafted Western League.
But even guys that came up with such big hype. Sam Steele was a kid out of Sherwood Park, Alberta, that came up with such huge hype and got drafted by Anaheim, and Anaheim released him this year.
Yeah.
There's the stories of being able to evaluate these types of players and make them effective is becoming more prevalent for the Western League than it is the other two leagues.
Yeah. 3 of the top 7 in 2019 from the Western League, Kirby Dach, Bowen Byram, who's the Stanley Cup champion, and Dylan Cousins in Buffalo. So, well, it leads to this question. John, who's the best hockey prospect you've ever seen?
Oh, Connor McDavid. The bias is we were so cognizant of it, and Erie, Pennsylvania is only 2.5 to 3 hour drive from Toronto, and he was a Toronto kid. So like the hype around Connor Bedard, the hype around Connor McDavid was from the time they were 14 years old. It it was crazy here for Connor McDavid. So he by far was in that ilk of the best hockey prospect, and he could do in junior hockey similar stuff to what he's doing now, because the obviously the talent pool in junior hockey isn't what the NHL is.
Put on your TV producer hat. What do you think this is going to do in the summer? This World Junior Tournament, is it going to be watched, do you think?
I think it'll be a slow start. I think that the combination of things, whether people enjoying a good weather in August, combined with the scandal, people will have a tainted opinion of what junior hockey's all about for now, the World Juniors. But I do think that once we get to the medal round, the numbers will be back.
Yeah.
And sponsorship may not be back for this tournament. We're going to start hearing that, with everything that Hockey Canada is doing, that for the World Junior in Halifax, that we're going to be back to status quo.
Marvelous stuff, John. We'll let you get back to the golf course fairways and greens, my friend. We'll catch up next Monday.
Have a great day, guys.